There he is,
Hey, Dr. Music.
the Metal Cowboy. How are you, man?
I'm great, buddy. Good to see you, and thanks for having me back on your show.
Of course, man. It's always a great day when Ryan Keel can be here, man. I love you to death. That's so great to have you back, man.
I feel the same way about you, man. You're one of my favorite dudes, so thanks again for letting me be a repeat offender.
Absolutely, absolutely. It means I did something right. At least I didn't screw it up too bad the first couple
No,
times.
you're one of the best, dude. You're one of the best in both broadcasting and as one of my favorite photographers as well.
Thank you very much. Thank
Of
you. That means
course.
so much. That means so much. I know you've had some great ones for photography for sure, and we see a lot of that in the Keelworld CD. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
sorry I didn't get to fit one of yours in there,
Oh
but
no.
there's so many great photos through the years that I wanted to
Yep.
include, and I'm really happy with the results.
Yeah, man, it is a great package. It is pretty awesome. You don't need an introduction. You're Ron Keel, for Christ's sake.
Well,
The Metal Cowboy, toured the world, sold millions of records, Vegas Strip for years, acting, DJ on the Streets of Rock and Roll show for 10 years now, man. Is that crazy or what?
it is all 12 years actually in radio. I took a
Wow.
few years off to do live radio, middays on KBAD 94.5 FM here in the Midwest, and once that went its course, I resumed my Streets of Rock and Roll show. We're now on show number 309, and it's great to be back in the saddle and back on the streets of rock and roll.
It's great, man. And RFK Media, of course, multimedia, your record label, the whole company, KRFK Radio, hosts that and a bunch of syndicated radio shows that are, I mean, unbelievable. Like, just so great. You got Eddie Trunk on there and Joe Elliott's show, and it's fantastic what you're doing there, man.
Thank you. It is a handful. It's a lot of work, but it's a lot of
Oh,
fun.
I can't imagine. I put this show together and stuff, and I do all my homework. I prepare. You know what it's like, of course.
Sure, yeah.
I can't imagine putting together, different angles, cuts, cameras, all that radio, all of those little segments that you got. It's unbelievable.
Well, I do have a great team with me. Corey Harker, our station manager and technical director. He's amazing. He's a genius. He's the wizard behind the curtain who really does all the heavy lifting, all the technical stuff, and keeps the ship afloat.
It's amazing the work that you do and he does and the whole team because it's fun to watch and listen to, which is really really cool, man. Brand new record, Keelworld. Love the banner in the back.
Oh
Love the
yeah,
record,
thanks.
man. Love the record. Yes.
Very cool. You got your Patreon copy, I see.
I
I'm glad that
did.
arrived okay.
It did.
That's pretty special. You know, a lot of the fans most of the fans love the jewel case, the plastic jewel cases. And to me, I've
Right.
got an affinity for the Digipack, so I wanted to have the best of both worlds with this one
Mhm.
and create a Digipack version with bonus tracks that I give away free to all of my all access members at patreon.com/Ron Keel. And we've got the vinyl edition coming on Black Friday, November 29th.
It's so awesome, man. And I gotta say, it's a few words about the Patreon. Nobody does it quite like you do it. We get Ron Keel in the flesh, man. It is just you put everything out there, and I love you just put a clip out there, a live clip. You fumbled the lyrics a little bit on a track, right? On a new track,
Yeah.
5 o'clock shadows, I think it was,
Yeah.
but it's out there. That's what we love. I mean, I loved that. Because it's rock and roll. It's live, it's real, it's authentic, it sounded great. You had fun with it. That's what it's really all about. We want to have fun, we want to hear the real thing.
Exactly. And Patreon, the patreon.com/Ron Keel that you're speaking of, is more than a fan club. It's a family. And it's really like having 700 of my kids at the dinner table at the same time. I can just be myself and be honest and open and share stuff that you wouldn't normally share on regular social media. So I'm glad you appreciate that and enjoy it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And we all do, it is like family there. And there's so many people that just show up all the time and they just enjoy it. And it's just a great rock and roll community. And you've created that and we thank you for that.
Well,
Uh,
thank you for being a part of it.
there will be links for sure. You gotta see it to believe it. Uh Keelworld, it's Ron Keel Band, it's Ron Keel, it's Keel, it's Iron Horse, it's Steeler, it's Emerald Sabbath, it's all of these things. It's an autobiography of music for you, right?
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah, I mean, it is great. When you were writing this stuff, um, did you sit down and say, I want to do an Iron Horse song, and write a song for Iron Horse? Same with, Keel, that kind of thing. When it was written, did you have a specific project that you wanted to present with each thing you wrote?
No, I just kind of let the ideas pour out and try and catch them in a bucket as they spew out of me. And some of the songs I did not write. The Iron Horse track, "Guitar in the Grave," which is
Mm,
quintessential Iron Horse. I did not write that song. It was written by John Edwards, my favorite songwriter on the planet, and a dear, dear friend of mine who lives in Nashville and is one of Jason Aldean's primary songwriters. And he wrote a couple of songs on the Bring It On album, which Iron Horse released in 2004. And I was looking for the song for Iron Horse. And I called him and asked him, I said, man, well, do you have anything along those lines of those tracks that you wrote for us 20 years ago? And he sent me like 30 songs. And Guitar in the Grave just stuck out. He just knew when I heard it, it was an Iron Horse song. And a good story about that. My bass player, Gino Arce, who's been with
mm,
me for 26 years, he
that's
was and still is the bass player in Iron Horse, Keel, and Ron Keel Band. So he does triple duty on this record
crazy.
playing bass. I sent him a copy of the CD as soon as it came out, and he had his family around it out at the pool, and they're all listening to the CD together with his family. And he wasn't telling the kids, this is Steeler, this is Keel, this is Ron solo, whatever. He was just listening to the record with his family. And his kids grew up listening to Iron Horse. Of course, they're all grown now and they have kids of their own.
Right.
And they grew up, 20 years ago in the Iron Horse era. And they're playing the record, and his daughter listens. That's Iron Horse. She knew that
Uh,
was Iron Horse just from the feel, the vibe, the style, and I guess the players all contributed on every track. I've got amazing musicians from all these bands and projects around the world and across the country that really gave their all on every take. So a great team around me to build this thing.
it's exactly it. I mean, that's a great story because that's how I felt when I listened to it. And it says what the intention is, but I didn't need that. I heard it and I'm like, yeah, that's Iron Horse. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
that's right in that vein. Same with the Steeler track. There's no doubt that's a Steeler track
I did
whatsoever.
write that. I did write that one, and I did write it specifically for Steeler.
Okay.
So that was a focused effort to come up with the new Steelers song, the first new song we've done in over 40 years. And I felt that it had to have all those elements that influenced us back in the 80s. It had to have that anthem feel. It had to pay tribute to the era, the genre, our influences. To me, it sounds like if Bon Scott sang with Judas Priest. That's
Yeah.
kind of the vibe I get from it, and that's what I was going for. So that song was specifically written for Steeler. Of course, Moving Target, the Keel track, was specifically written for Keel by Mark Ferrari, the guitar player, and myself. So those were built for those different bands or different projects. The Ron Keel band stuff, uh, my band can do anything. We do play the Keel songs and the Steeler songs and the Black Sabbath songs in our show. So
Mhm.
my guys can do anything. So what's a Ron Keel band song is much more difficult to define. Uh, but I think you can tell when you hear this thing that it's got one sonic identity, and I was really going for that. I didn't want a mishmash or a collection of different sounds. Of course, we got different drum kits and different microphones and different guitarists using different amps, but it does have a sonic identity, and
No
to
doubt.
me, it seems like it all fits and belongs together.
Yes, it didn't sound like patchwork. Like you took something there and
I
put
like
it
that.
with something there, and the levels are different and things like that. No, 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 no. It's a piece of music that ebbs and flows and goes to different areas, but it's all got that same. It's like when I look at my photographs and I want a certain tone and everything. All of them have that same tone over and that's how this is. These songs, they all flow together. It's a beautiful quilt of songs that you have here.
I
It
like that.
is really great. Now, one thing I noticed that one of my favorite things that you did was fair game. I love that project. I just
Me
love the
too.
female aspect of it. And I love seeing the strong female rock and rollers. And there's so many now, and I love that. Saber Tiger was another one that I really enjoyed. There's lots of things that you've done in your career that like those two aren't on the record. Was there something that you tried to put together, it just didn't work out, or is there anything that you don't want to touch on? I mean, you seem very proud of your entire career, in which you should be. Uh, is there something that you just didn't want to touch?
I did want to include those projects. Fair Game, we just couldn't find the song. And that's a special project with a unique identity.
Hmm.
And if you're going to do a new Fair Game song, it's got to capture the Steeler identity like Give Me Guitars does, or the moving target that captures for Keel. So we could not find the right song for Fair Game. Unfortunately, I did meet with the girls and we talked about it and tried to put something together, and I ran out of time. I mean, this thing took 3 years. I could have kept on going and tried to find exactly the ultimate right pieces of the puzzle. I did reach out to Akihito Kinoshita, the Japanese guitar hero who I did the Saber Tiger project with in 1997. I reached out to him. And of course, the language barrier and the distance between us and the time that's passed, we're not as close as we were, 30 years ago, whenever that record was done.
Right.
So I had hoped to include those and even the Rattlers. I tried to put a Rattlers track on here as well, but we've got Ronnie Lee Keel and some of the solo stuff that's just my personal identity, like the opening track, Hollywood, and the
Yeah.
Emerald Sabbath, Black Sabbath cover, the only song on the album that's not brand new. Of course, Children
Okay.
of the Grave, we covered Sabbath, and that's a Sabbath classic, a very iconic song from the iconic metal band of all time.
Yes.
So, but that's the only cover song, and it's the only old song. All the rest of the stuff is all new and was all written within the last couple of years.
Man, and it sounds like it. I mean, it doesn't sound like I said, it doesn't sound like a patchwork that you pulled from here and here. It's all got a great sound to it, man. And that's cool that you reached out to the girls and everything, and it's great to know that there's still that connection. Because we love, as fans, we love to see that relationship and a communication. Now, I think of Steeler, of course. I think of Ingve. We talked about that last time. You didn't reach out to Ingve, did you?
No,
Okay, yeah,
Mitch Perry replaced Ingve
right.
41 years ago in the
And he's
summer of '83.
a lot easier to work with too.
He's amazing to work with. He's just such a superhuman being
He's
combined with a formidable guitar skills and a dear friend. He's part of my family now for 41 years since he joined Steeler. So there was no question about who was going to play lead guitar on the new
yeah,
Steeler track.
yeah, and he is, and that riff is just brutal. He is such a great player. Uh,
Yeah.
Unbelievable. That's a guy that can do anything for sure. Um, Tell me about the cover art. This is look at this thing. I don't know what it is. But boy, oh boy, that is a beautiful piece of art.
Thank you.
Did you design it? Did you know what you wanted? Was it presented to you and you said, "Yeah, that's it"? And do we know what it is? What is
It's
what's behind the
it's
cover art?
some type of extraterrestrial object, satellite, or maybe an alien planet that's on a collision course for planet Earth, and now impact has occurred. The We went through so many different versions of different artwork for this, and I would say, yeah, that's it. And then, 2 weeks later, I go, no, that's not it. Actually bought some really cool artwork to use for it, and I realized it's just not right. My wife, Renee, did all of the artwork. This is her creation. And I kept asking her, make me one of these or create something like this. I wanted something uh, to do with the interplanetary aspect. Keelworld is a special place, kind of like the streets of rock and roll is a mythical place in
Uh,
my history. Keelworld has to be a planet, a self-contained satellite or entity. It's got to be a place that has some of the same aspects as my character. The different branches coming off of this thing, like the arms of the
yeah,
satellite, so to speak, I think represent the different aspects of my music, my history, and my personality. And there's a big hole in it, as if you can tell. If I can get out of the way here. Oh no, I can't see it
yeah,
from here, but you can see it on the
yeah.
artwork. There's a big
Right,
hole
right.
in it right
Yeah,
there, which to me describes, or it's a metaphor for the holes in my heart, my history. And if you climb in there, you climb through the hole, you'll see all the landscapes that I've created. And we went through so many different designs, Scott. And finally, one day, she's at work, and I sneak into her computer and I look at her private gallery. And I look in there, and there's just hundreds of these amazing pieces of art that she's created. And one was just we call it the icon or the satellite. And it was just that by itself. It was a piece of art on a white background. And I thought that's cool. And I put that together with the logo, and I thought that's the album cover. And of course, 2 weeks later, I go, Dad, we need something else. So I went back into her gallery and I found the electric blue type background that the solar storm or whatever that the satellite has to push
yeah.
through to reach its destination. So there are a lot of metaphors in there, and I'm glad that you like it. It really is whatever you think it is, whatever you feel it is. Like a song, you have your own interpretation of it, but that's how I feel about it.
Well, what I love is, we're old school. I picked up a record because of the cover a lot of times. I picked up the record because of song titles sometimes. That had artwork and that kind of thing had a lot to do with the identity of a record before. Not so much in these days. Things kind of stand alone. There isn't a connection. I feel that connection with this record. I'm look at the cover, I read the credits when I listen. It's one of the things I do. Uh, it becomes part of the music, and this has done that, and I love that. I'm an art guy. I
Thank
love
you.
great art. When I hear these songs, I think about that vision, and I think about that artwork and how it works in my mind. There's a comfort to for me for in that. You obviously you feel that art has a lot to do with the presentation, and I appreciate that.
Absolutely, man. It certainly goes back to those early Keel albums. The Right to Rock album cover is one of and the Final Frontier, both done by the same artist, John Taylor Dismukes. Those two album covers alone are iconic in rock and metal history. And I wanted to try and capture that same feel, but also wanted my wife to be a part of it too. It's her art. She did all the comic book processing. If you open the booklet, and I know you have, and maybe
Yep.
some of your viewers and listeners haven't, the booklet is all images from throughout my career that have been turned into comic book style images, and the
It's
captions are all lyrics, some of my favorite phrases and lyrics from the songs within.
it's so awesome. It really is. When I opened it up, I was like, "Ah, this is so great, man!" And
I'm glad.
I'm hoping the vinyl will have the bigger book like we used to love back in the day. And I'm sure it will, right? It's gonna
Well,
have
the vinyl will have the comic book art on the insert. It's a full color 2-page insert that's got all 8 panels of the comic book art. The gatefold has all the credits. It's a double album, and I struggled with this. My distributor amplified them. They're great, man. They really helped us in so many ways. One of the best distribution companies in our business, and they're really smart. They know their business, and they represent a lot of big time projects and products. And they wanted a single album, just a one side of vinyl on a single album, so that it's easier to sell. You can sell it cheaper, and it's easier for them to ship and distribute. and I just couldn't do that. I had to have a double album. I should have brought the artwork down here. I've got the big album artwork.
You do.
Damn, I should have brought that. I should have that on hand because I just got it and approved it and looked at it, and it's actual size. But I felt like I just couldn't chop songs off this thing. You could only fit
Yeah.
44 minutes of music on one slab of vinyl.
Okay.
And I would have had to eliminate 3 songs off this thing. And that would have really cut the guts out of it. I couldn't chop off any one of my limbs or
Hey,
it wouldn't be alive. So we opted for the double album, two vinyl slabs with bonus tracks on blue vinyl, and that's coming out November 29th on Black Friday.
just awesome, man. Just awesome. I think about that. I'm like, 3 tracks. There's not a chance I could cut. It wouldn't be Keelworld anymore. It would just be Keel and one or two others. Or, this is the whole autobiography, if you will.
Yeah,
It's pretty, yeah, you have to keep it all. And that's great that you did. Um, I hear Michael Sweet when he talks about doing a Striper album, he always gets flack for this because he always says it's the best Striper album that he's made. And everybody's like, he always says that. Well, of
yeah.
course he always says that because why would he wouldn't have stopped if he didn't feel like he made the best record he possibly could. Uh, Now I would ask you, like I would ask him, does he strive to be better than the last time out, or does he strive to be better than the cornerstone of the catalog? Like for him, it would be Soldiers Under Command, probably.
Hmm.
For you, it would be maybe The Right to Rock. That's what people really relate with, and they're looking for that again. So when you come out of a recording session like the Keel World session, you got to feel like it's the best thing you've done. Were you trying to be better than your last time out, or are you always chasing that iconic moment in your career?
I felt that I had to create more than an album. I had to create something special. It's not just an album. Most of these albums, and I've done 40 or 50 of them, each one of them is a chapter in your life. Keelworld is the entire story. And I
That's
wanted to
rough.
create something very, very special. It was certainly challenging, ambitious, expensive, time consuming, but worth it. And I do feel it's my best work ever. There are several other records that I set the bar pretty high. And certainly not The Right to Rock. And I know I don't want to insult those old classic records that have a special place in our fans' hearts and minds and history and their childhood. And the Right to Rock certainly comes to mind because you mentioned it.
Yeah.
For me, Metal Cowboy was the benchmark that I had to pass because that in 2014, 10 years ago, I released what I up until Keelworld I thought was my best album, and still it's right up there. But this one is not just an album. It's a story.
Mhm.
It's my life story set to music. So
Yeah.
that was the challenge for me, was to, once I realized this is what I'm going to do, how do we pull it off? And it all starts with the songs. You've got to have a great foundation of great songs.
Yep.
And then you've got all the amazing friends, musicians, producers, engineers, and studios that contributed to this thing, artists and photographers, and my marketing team and my partners in business, and everybody has played a big part in this team effort that has landed Keelworld safely and solidly on solid ground here on planet Earth. And the response has been incredible. I found out yesterday we debuted at 89 on the hard rock, what is it? Current hard albums chart, which
Yeah.
is pretty cool. First time that's equivalent to Billboard, and
Yeah.
it's the first time I've been on a major chart like that in a long time. We have had some great success with radio, media-based charts, seeing songs like American Thunder, When This Is Over was a big hit for us a
Yeah.
couple of years ago. So we've had some radio success on the radio charts, but this is the first album that I've had chart in many, many years. So I'm really proud of that.
It's so great. It's really great. And I do feel like it's some of your best work, for sure. Because there's so much, it offers so much. Um, I want, people are going to be talking about the tracks in particular, not just because they're great tracks and might, think people might think they're better or worse than anything else, but they're Keel because it's Keel,
It's Keel. Yeah.
and Steeler because it's been so long that we got Steeler together to do a track. People are going to wonder, do we have Keel together to do more tracks? Do we have Steeler together to do more? Are we going to get more? Are we going to get a Steeler record? Are we going to get a Keel record? Did you do more when you were together? These are all questions that those fans will definitely have.
Well, this is a full-length album by a man named Keel. So, and they're all Keel songs, as far as I'm concerned. Now, the trouble with naming a band after yourself is that you can't 40 years later strike out on your own and call it Ron Keel's Keel, like Mike Tramp, my buddy Mike Tramp's White Lion, or
Yes.
or Jack Russell's Great White, God rest his soul. I can't say it's Ron Keel's Keel. So I have no plans to it's a tough act to follow, Scott. How do you follow Moving Target or Give Me Guitars or Give Me Death? I think, it's not that I'm not up for the challenge, but this is a very special collaboration for a very special album collection. And wait till you see the video for Steeler. I will send it to you. I just got it yesterday. Okay. I should have sent it before the interview. I should have had you take a look at this. You'll be blown away. It's pretty special, man, that to have the four guys, me, Mark Edwards on drums, who does the video. Dwayne Miller from Keel played the drums on the album track. Mark has come out of retirement, and first time he's played in over 35 years since the motorcycle accident.
Yeah, I wanted to ask about that because I didn't think he could play. And of course on Patreon we get a behind the scenes look.
That's right.
Yeah. Just to the studio. We watch you guys kind of do this together. I see him there and I think Mark's there. Mm-hmm. Mark can't play. I didn't think he could play. How is Mark doing? He plays in the video.
My goodness, it's a great story, Scott, because he's been one of my best friends of my life. Since we played together 40 years ago, and of course, if it's got Steeler attached to it, I keep him in the loop. We communicate often, almost daily, and I told him I've got a new Steeler song, and I sent him the track. And he loved it. I was really excited. I said, I'm going to do a video for this. And my intention was to shoot a music video for the track. And he says, I want to play in it. And he went back into training, literally 4 hours a day, got his old drum kit back, and went back into training and was able to crush the song, take after take after take. And it's a 2-day shoot. So you're on location for 2 days. Yeah. And even when the cameraman's focused on me or Mitch or Rick, he's got to be playing in the background because you're going to catch some of those background shots.
Sure.
So every close-up on every member, he had to play full bore through the entire track over and over again for 2 days straight. And he pulled it off in amazing fashion. Wait till you see this thing. And it is directed by David Pear, who does all the Dead Daisy stuff. Yep. And it's very special. It's really unique. I'm blown away by the results. I knew with having David involved behind the camera that it was going to be special, but it looks and feels like nothing I've ever seen. And it's really just a performance clip. There's two versions. There's the performance clip, and then there's some stuff with a bunch of 3D computer animation and all the fancy high-tech stuff. I prefer the raw performance because the guys really brought it, for that video shoot. And it really, I just can't wait for everybody to see it. I'm not sure now that it's done how to navigate the promotional process and the business into things. And when do we put it out and when do we share it with the world? Of course, I want to share it right now. I want to send it to you as soon as we get off the phone. And it's pretty exciting. I was going to hold it off till the Black Friday vinyl release date and release the Steeler video and single in conjunction with the vinyl. So we get all that stuff on Black Friday, but right. I don't think I can wait that long to share it with the world, man. So it's probably going to happen sooner than later.
Well, I think it'd be great to have like a little, a preview, and then hit the release that record, and because it's a great song. But I mean, seeing those guys together in that behind the scenes video,
Oh yeah, yeah, you've seen
seeing
that.
Rick talk to Mark, casually, it gave me chills. It was like, wow, this is just it's so great to see guys together for the benefit of us and giving us a Steeler track. It's the camaraderie and just it was so great, especially to see Mark. I did not expect that. It was really really great.
So you probably saw in that little highlight reel that I shared with you on Patreon, you probably saw a little clip of the Steeler movie, Steeler Legacy,
Yes.
the documentary film. I just showed this the opening credits, literally,
Yep.
and that's an amazing project as well that David Pear is building for us. It's a documentary film that tells the entire story of Steeler from day one until the present day, and it climaxes with the new music video. And we didn't have video back then, so a lot of it is animations. He's recreated like comic book style, like watching
Yep.
like Heavy Metal, the movie.
Right.
Uh, so it's a very ambitious project, and it's going to be pretty exciting to see that thing finished and release that through RFK Media in early 2025.
Ah, that's great news, man. I saw that clip and I'm like, when's it coming? When's it coming? But I also on the Patreon, of course, you tell us so much and so appreciate it. You're acting. You've done some roles in television, things like that. Um, the beginning of the end. This is a lead role, horror movie.
Yeah,
Um, I see Melody Portnoy,
yeah, yeah.
Mike's
Mike's
daughter.
daughter. Yeah,
Yeah. And a few other surprise cameos in there too. This has to it's exciting for me to see that. How is that going? There was some money raised to get this thing done and on the road. It seems to have met the the amount that it needed. Is it in yeah, what's the where are we in that? Is it going to be
well,
really?
filming is finished. My work is done, and what an
Yeah.
amazing opportunity! I should have brought the crowbar. I had throughout the entire movie, except for one scene where I can't tell you what happens. I've got this crowbar. It's hanging on my stairway right outside the door here. I should have that with me for the interviews as a prop too. But talk about a challenge. And this is not the usual roles that I used to get back in the day in TV and films. I would be
Right.
the rock star or the biker or the criminal.
Right.
This is the guy next door,
And it's
and
a lead role.
it is a starring role,
It's a
and it's
starring role.
a guy,
Wow.
just an ordinary guy next door, ex-military, a diesel mechanic, who gets put into a very extraordinary circumstance, and I have to go through emotionally every phase of the character. It goes from anger and violence to heartbroken and sad and just traumatized, and all of these changes that the character goes through. Super huge challenge. Two fight scenes where I can't tell you the outcome, but
Right.
I kick some ass.
It's great.
But I get my ass kicked a couple of times because there was one scene where I land on the floor. It's a hardwood floor, and I land on the floor, and my knees, my elbows, and you know, during the fight, and you land on the floor, you go and you really scream in pain. You don't have to act that part. That's real.
Right.
That's real. And so you get up, and the director says, "Well, let's do it again." You got to have another take, right? So you do it again. You fall on the floor over and over again. No, let's change to the 35 millimeter lens for this. Then let's change angles. So all day long, I'm just getting my ass kicked. I just now recovered. It was 3 weeks ago that we wrapped up filming, but it was a blast, man. It was a blast, and the thing was, I'm way out of my league with the talent that was involved. The actors, Melanie Portnoy, as you mentioned, Mike Portnoy's daughter, is a professional, and she does a lot of acting roles. And some of the other co-stars that I'm with, these are pros, and I'm the token rock star. So I'm just trying to keep up and remember my lines and deliver the goods. It was a real serious challenge, And when the director says, "Okay, that's a take. We got it. We got the shot." And you go, "What? Really? It was good? You like that?" It's like, wow, man, we pulled it off. So once you get those first couple of takes under your belt, then you're in the flow of things and you're in the character and you've got the routine down. But it's grueling work, man. 18-hour days on the
Yep.
set, covered in blood. And, you're beating people up and you're getting beat up, and a lot of tense, disturbing action is happening in the course of this movie. So I'm really proud that I got to check that box.
It's yeah, it's great, man. I mean, I saw that you got the lead role, and it's so exciting, man. And I love Melody. She's so sweet, and I follow her on Instagram and everything, and she's just a delight. She comes up in my feed, and it's like such a good
Oh, that's
thing.
cool.
She's
Yeah,
super cool.
she's super cool. In the movie, she is. I can't give away too much, but she's not sweet. She's not sweet.
Yeah, she
she's
plays a role of Trixie.
she is the Bizarro Melody.
I love it, man. I can't wait to see it. So excited for that. It's really cool. Do we have a tentative date? A year from now, maybe?
Yeah, probably a year. Those
Okay.
Hollywood wheels turn very slowly.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
but I'm glad that I got my job done, and I was able
Yeah.
to. And I'm proud of my work. That everybody seemed pleased with what I did, and it's it was a challenge, but
Yeah.
like the songs on Keelworld, as I'm going through being the lead singer of Black Sabbath again on
Right.
Children of the Grave, or I'm Ronnie Lee Keel again.
Yeah.
And my character on this new album goes through all those same character arcs, from screaming metal to singing country songs about dreams that didn't come true, like
Yeah.
Faster Horses, which is one of my favorite songs on the record. So
So great.
those are all roles that I play. They are a part of me. And
Yeah.
the role for the movie was I tried to do that as the guy next door, because I got neighbors next door too. I am the guy next door in real
Right.
life. I cut the grass, work on the car, ride the motorcycle around the neighborhood. I am that guy. It's just a different role that I play
Right.
in
Right.
real life. And so I go to my next door neighbor's house, and they follow me on Facebook, and they're like really dear friends of ours. And we go over to their house for dinner. They're talking, "Hey, so you're doing this movie, and tell us all about it." And I said, "Well, it's really bloody, it's really scary, it's really disturbing." And you know what my role is? And I looked at my neighbor and said, "I'm the guy next door." So I don't know if I want them to see it or not, because they have to
Yeah,
live next
right.
door to me.
I love it. They might look at you a little different now.
Yeah.
Pretty great, man. Pretty great. Ron, I want to respect your time. I just this is so great connecting with you again. I gotta ask you though, I see what you've done in your career. I see the type of person you are. You're a father, a husband. You've nurtured family, you've nurtured friends. I've never, there's a kindness to you and a respect for people. Um, in your career, you run your business better than anybody I've ever seen. You are the definition of success for me. Um, do you consider yourself successful? And at what point were you content with your success?
That's a great question, Scott. And I appreciate the compliments. All those things that you mentioned about me, that's the cowboy in me. The guy who, you be a good dad, be a good husband, bust your ass, have fun, and when you're finished with your job, have a beer.
Yeah,
And I do consider that so many aspects of what I've accomplished to be a badge of success. If you spend over 40 years doing what you love, making a living, and really enjoy yourself, and having so many of your dreams come true, I think you have to quantify that as success. Now, these days, it's different. I debuted at 89 on the chart this week, so it's not like it used to be where we would sell 100,000 albums in a
right,
week. I mean, now we're lucky to sell 10,000,
right.
but it's quantified in different ways. But at this point in my life, certainly I am very appreciative of the opportunities. I like the person that I am. I'm comfortable in my own skin. I am pleased with my work. Most of all, uh, Keelworld, the shows that we've done this year. I mean, we've been all over the country, coast to coast this year and to South America. And it's been, I think, some of the best shows of my life, the best album of my career. Only two gigs that I was unhappy with. One wasn't my fault, and the other was one night I had some vocal issues that were really disturbing to me. I was struggling on stage, which doesn't happen ever.
Yeah.
And so that was a tough one. But it only happened once through all these gigs this year at this age.
Yep.
So I quantify all that as success. Being happy with who I am and where I am. This is the best day of my life until tomorrow.
Yeah. That's so great to hear, man. It really is, because we love you for everything that you've given us. Thank you so much.
Thank
Uh,
you.
will we see you out on tour? Will we get to see the band, the Ron Keel band? Will we get to see some of Keel, Brian J and Mitch and Mark maybe? Any will you tour at all with any of those formats?
Well, there are different kinds of bands. Scott, there's, projects like Frontiers. And I don't want to, half the stuff they put out is amazing, really well done. And I don't even know how they do it. They've got guys playing on the session that have never even met each other. They're
Right.
sending files overseas, and you put your voice on this, and he puts his guitar on that, and it ends up sounding great most of the time or some of the time. I'm a band guy. I believe that bands should be in my basement rehearsing, working up tunes. We should be doing photo sessions and videos. And if my band is ready to tour, to put Keel or Steeler out there, I'm not going to get the results that I want. And I need great shows. At this stage of the game, there's more shows behind me than there are in front of me. I need great shows, and the Ron Keel Band delivers those. We've been doing it all year long. We've got one more big one in Nashville, Tennessee on October 19th at the East Side Bowl. Absolutely beautiful, great sounding, great looking venue. We're headlining my old hometown stomping grounds of Nashville, Tennessee. And it's a benefit for the American Society for Suicide Prevention, and some great local Battle of the Bands winners on the bill opening for us. So I'm really looking forward to that gig in Nashville, October 19th. And we'll start putting together our plans for 2025. I'm already thinking about it. A lot of this stuff has to happen a year in advance. But I have no desire to step on stage with any other band than mine, and that's the Ron Keel Band, because I can't call it Ron Keel's Keel.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go. and a hell of a band that you have. Gino, Rev, just the DC, and they're all just unbelievable musicians.
They are.
They just pull it off. And it's like you said, no matter what it is, they can do it, and they do it perfectly, man. It's like I had the pleasure to see you guys, and it's just wow. If you can catch them,
yeah, it's a band. That's a band. That's a bunch of guys that laugh together, cry together, drink together, work together, and do band stuff.
Yeah,
it's not a project. It's not, and that to me, that's where I want to be, and those are the guys I want to be with.
yeah, it's great, and you can see that chemistry, man. And I can't wait to see it on the stage, man. It's pretty great.
Well, you'll see it on Patreon every chance I get.
I know I will, man. I know I will. We're gonna have links to all of that, the Patreon, and everybody can get on board, and to order the album and the website and all the Keelworld stuff.
Thank you,
Ron. I love you to death, man. It's so great to have you every time out. I can't wait till the next time, man.
Man, you're a special guy, Scott, and I thank you so much for your support, for being a friend and being in our corner, and for all that you do for our all the bands, all the culture, the podcast, the photographs, and everything that you do. We all appreciate it, and I'm glad that you're on my side.
Yeah, man, and I can't wait to cover these bands that you have with Crashing Wayward and the Fifth, and on RFK. I've loved having them on the show. They're great bands. There's so much to look forward to. It's just awesome.
I've got a new one coming for you. I should announce it now. I've got a new project. If we could just hint at this, I haven't said anything to anybody yet, but it's coming up in a couple of weeks. September 27th, we're releasing a track called Represent, which is a band called Blonde Viper, and it is an all-star, kind of like We Are the World. There are 6 vocalists, 16 lead guitar players, just like a who's who of Midwest
Oh,
metal. And I do of course, I do a guest vocal on there as well. And it is an all-star project, an epic track with some amazing players. It's been my goal since starting RFK Media to do something to show my love and support for the Midwest rock scene that has embraced me the last 10 years.
oh,
And to be a part of this, it's just amazing. There's so many South Dakota Rock and Roll Hall of Famers, and from Minnesota, South Dakota, Nebraska, and so forth. And we're going to donate all the proceeds of that to Tunnel for Towers, the Tunnel for Towers Foundation, that helps our uh, first responders and their families. And we're really proud that we can hopefully raise some money for that. All the downloads and income from that single will go to Tunnel for Towers. The single comes out September 27th. It's called Represent. It's a metal track, man. This is metal. And I'm having a hard time keeping up with some of the other singers on this track because they're all belting it out high and hard. So I'm really proud to be a part of it, and I can't wait to share it with you and the rest of the world. It comes out September 27th from rfkmedia.com.
it's just crazy, man. Have a link right below rfkmedia.com. Ron, it's so awesome to have you, man.
My
I
pleasure, man.
can't wait till the next time, brother.
Me too. Thanks,
All
Scott. I
right.
appreciate you.
All right. Take care, bud.
You too.
Bye bye.